What's going on? Yeah, we out here in San Antonio, Texas, the premiere show. I'm Rory Sevajian. I go by Faded Ink on Instagram, so definitely check me out.
They can't hold me, hustle like I bag groceries. Get rich off this even if my mouth wired till the wheels burn no matter how tired.
What inspired you to pursue this career as an artist?
I think most barbers can identify with being customers first. You know, seeing other barbers cut hair when they were getting their own haircut. Back in the day, there was no appointments. You had to sit on a bench and wait your turn. And during that time, I got to see so many different people get their hair cut. And that really fascinated me. My grandfather would take me after church on Sunday to a little Italian barbershop where the barber didn't even speak English. But he cut really well. And, you know, that was my first experience of seeing somebody use shears. And they didn't have the little rubber piece in between the shears, so it made a lot of noise. And, you know, I loved getting my hair cut by the one guy, and his business partner wasn't the nicest or the greatest. And so sometimes I'd have to get my hair cut by him. And I saw the difference between barber personalities and how they operate at a very young age. I was a little kid. My barber, when I was younger, around high school years, like middle school, high school years, started cutting Jay-Z and Pharrell and, you know, all these, you know, musicians and like athletes and people that are like, you know, famous. And I never seen that before. And he was the first person that made me believe that I could actually do this and make a good living out of it. You know, I'd never really looked up to people that worked 9-to-5 jobs and worked in factories or things like that. I never was interested in working in like a fast food restaurant or anything. Not to say anything against it, but for me, I wanted the freedom to not really have a boss. And you know, some people have bosses, and just because you have a boss doesn't mean you're not a boss. You know what I mean? If you're doing everything that you're supposed to, and then some, you are a boss.
How long have you been a barber, and what do you feel has been the most significant change within the industry in this time?
I started in 1993. I was 14 years old. My Aunt Carol, she bought a set of clippers for my cousin Anthony, and I stole them. He wasn't gonna use it, I was the artist. I had seen other barbers cut hair, but this was the first time I actually got to cut hair. I had a wall designer, so the wall clipper was the first clipper I ever used. And I loved making people look better, you know, changing their appearance with the little time that they spent with me, you know. And then my friends, I got popular. People started to like me more because I had a skill. I was talented in the sense that they needed something from me. And I think in life, you always want to be the person of value, the person that gives something, you know. There's givers and takers, and I like to give because I feel like it's very awkward to need something from somebody, and I never like that feeling. I like to be the opposite. I like to be the one in control that has the ability to give somebody else something, you know? And that's what barbers do.
And what has been the biggest change within the industry, positive and negative, within this time that you've been in this career?
So I'm at a high level. I started out, you know, with no license, and now I've been a licensed instructor for almost 20 years. And so that question about, you know, what is the biggest change, good and bad, would be good is we have access to more information, more connection with each other, better technology. I love that. To be a barber in 2025, it is the best time to be a barber, in my opinion, because we have so much resources that we can use to improve our skills, even at the very earliest stages in school when you're just starting out, and then become really successful and really good right away. I think that's an advantage. I think it's a gift, and I think it's a curse. The reason why I feel it's a curse is because people think because they're good at cutting hair that now they have some sort of status, or that their ego is like gets out of control. And ego is not your amigo, right? You know, you got to remember to be humble and have the heart of a servant, because we're in the service industry. And so the biggest thing that I don't like is people that don't smile, and that they think they're Hollywood, and you know, they think they're better than everybody else. They start to act like they're not human. And for me, I feel like the biggest challenge that I see within our industry, especially with people that have success and success kind of quickly, is that they struggle. They don't tell people they're struggling. I see it. They might not even know it themselves, but they struggle with who they truly are and who they think people want them to be. And I think that's the biggest downfall of a barber who gets some sort of notoriety or some sort of fame or some sort of following. You know, you start getting a lot of social media following, And then you think that you have to identify as this other kind of persona, and it's not real, and it comes across fake. And to me, I see through all that. And for me, it's just, that's probably the worst part about being a barber in 2025. Everybody thinks that they're the man. Everybody thinks that, you know, their stuff don't stink and that they're better than other people. And it's like, that's the opposite mentality of a barber. Yeah. We're supposed to be welcoming, not elitists. Like I say, I speak from behind the chair, not above it, you know? And I think that's something to always keep in mind. To all the younger barbers that want to do this and you look up to certain people, sometimes they tell you not to meet your heroes because you might be disappointed. And I think that holds true to what I'm saying. They struggle with who they are and who they think people want them to be. And that's the sad reality.
So you're a wall educator. Now, what does that mean to you as an educator in itself, you know?
I think being a wall educator is a blessing. I think that Wall is one of those legacy brands that's been around forever. I mean, they are the original OG traditional barbering brand. And they're not local, they're global. So for them to have a little kid from New Jersey be a part of their team, it's super humbling. It's like unreal. Sometimes I have to like look at myself and be like, man, this is really happening. I actually work with the greatest clipper company. You know, the first set I stole were Wall, and you fast forward 30 years later, I don't gotta steal clippers no more.
You know, you've had a very decorated career within this space. What motivates you to this day? You know, do you have any goals that are pending within the space itself?
So I'm in a unique situation as somebody that travels and does education. I get to go to every different part of the country and outside of the country, but it's like you get to see how people live. You know, the United States in particular is so big. So when I go to a barbershop in Texas, it might be completely different from a barbershop in California or a barbershop in New Jersey. And so getting to meet and experience different cultures and different styles, I think is a blessing for me because I get to see it all. I go everywhere. And you know, not everybody gets it, but everywhere I go, I find those that do want it. You know, the ones that show up for education, for the most part, are the ones that we want to teach. And they're the ones that are going to take the information and run with it. And it's always different style-wise and what they're focused on. I know a lot of the younger barbers, the brand new barbers, are very, very hyper-focused on tapers and enhancements and, you know, really tight fades and blurry fades and whatnot, beard work, stuff like that. But I think we got to bring it back to the traditional barbering, you know, the straight razor, hot lather shave, you know, having that conversation and that connection with that person in your community. The barber is the pillar of the community. Everybody has to get their hair cut and everybody goes to the barber. And it doesn't matter what kind of job you have, you're all sitting in that same barber's chair. Whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, a mechanic, a truck driver, you're all sitting in that same barber's chair. So the barber has a lot of public speaking or connecting skills with people. I would say more psychology than most people. We are therapists for a lot of our clients. And I think that's something that's very valuable. They say if you can't speak to your client, you have no business being behind the chair. Hey, listen, I appreciate you, Shy, for even taking the time. You always can stay connected with me. You have my phone number. For those that don't have my phone number is, and I'm just kidding. No, message me on social media. Follow me on Instagram. It's Faded Inc. Faded INC. F-A-D-E-D, Faded INC. That's the easiest way to get in touch with me. And like I said, I always extend the offer to people, but not everybody takes it.